Over the past couple of days, I let the clock expire on two artists I had collected from the beginning because, simply put, there has to be a better way to collect Project 70. Can and will this card get over 10,000? I think it's very, very difficult at the moment, but let's see if we can surprise Lauren Taylor by getting this card over 10,000. Well, we didn't get 10,000, but we did get 6,717. Just a phenomenal performance when you think about the age we are in right now in Project 70. So congrats, Lauren Taylor, on that Bo Jackson print run. But welcome to episode number 38 of the Project 70 show. My name is Chris, otherwise I'm on Twitter and Instagram is at CRT_sportscards. And my website is your number one resource and reference for everything related to Project 70. And of course, it is another weekend, which means on Sunday, there will be what? There'll be live pricing on the website. So check that out if you're interested in first artist cards, base and foil secondary pricing. And so what transpired over the past couple of days in the set? I do want to lead off with one of the cards that released because I think it's very, very significant when you think about creators of Project 70. So on DJ Ski's Mickey Mantle, and I'm going to sort of backtrack here a little bit and go backwards 1 year and 2 days. So 1 year and 2 days ago, I released my very first video around Project 2020, and now here we are a year later. And of course, when I started my first video series, it was just to record myself so I could see myself in 10, 15 years. There was no long-term goal in a sense other than just that. But DJ Ski's Mickey Mantle captures a creator of Project 70, and I think it's just fantastic. And so if you've not been on Instagram and seen the daily breakdown, I definitely recommend you check that out. He does reviews of every single card that releases, and they're just fun and enjoyable, and there is a charity aspect to this card. There is a mission to this card, and it's even better when you go down the road 50 to 60 years from now, when he's able to look back at himself as a 9-year-old, which I believe he's 9 right now. It's just going to be great. So that Mickey Mantle has a lot of great things about it. So if you were a fan of DJ Ski, I would recommend picking up this Mickey Mantle. So while we didn't get to 10,000 on that Lauren Taylor Bo Jackson, we may not see 10,000 on this DJ Ski. We might though see 10,000 on Randy Johnson by Alex Pardee. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about the fact that Alex Pardee, every single card of his has been in the top 10 and still is in the top 10, which means every card is sold over 9,000. But this one is going to be, let's say, interesting to see if the print run can be that high. We have the very first Arizona Diamondback. So if you're a D-backs fan, it's finally time for you to buy your first card. But it's actually Randy Johnson's second card in the set. I kind of forgot last night that Blue the Great released a Mariner version early on in the set. But this card is going to test the print run. Can Alex Pardee sell over 9,067 copies and get every one of his cards in the top 10? And so while everyone is out there buying those two cards, because we know those two cards are going to be very, very high on that print run scale, I am in the process right now of recalibrating my entire Project 70 collection. And as I said at the beginning, I did let the clock expire on two artists that had completed their sets up to this moment. I did, in fact, let the clock expire on Lauren Taylor and Futura. I did not buy their cards, so I am no longer in the running for the poster on those artists. And I'll be very honest here, I was actually quite relieved that I was able to let those cards go by and not purchase them, because for a while there, I was almost feeling a little bit of maybe pressure to keep buying every single card of every artist I'm alive on for the poster to get that poster. And last time I checked in my office, I don't really have room for posters. So I'm not sure exactly what I was chasing because I really couldn't put it up. But it made me think, there has to be a better way, or there has to be multiple better ways to collect this set. And where I started this sort of recalibration is with my second ever video of Project 70, where I said, is this the modern day monster? And for anyone who doesn't know, my number one collecting focus in the world is basically T206 cards and T212, which are Seattle Giant cards. And so it's all pre-war, all the time for me. I very rarely collect modern cards. outside of Project 2020 and 70. But if you are a pre-war fan or you know anything around T206, you know for 100% fact that there are multiple different ways to collect this set. But we in Project 70 have thought of it in only 4 different ways. We've thought of it as player, team, year, or artist. But I will tell you right now, there were multiple different ways to collect this set. And let's take a look at some of the ways that this set can be collected in my perspective. So let's start out with an easy one, and one that I am currently focused in on as I recalibrate my collection. And look, it's as simple as that. It's horizontal cards, only buying cards that come out horizontal from the artist, because when you think about it, there are only a few at the moment when you think of a set over 200. So when you see a horizontal card come out, you become excited because you can add another card to your collection. But now here's where it gets a little more fun. Have you ever thought about collecting Project 70 cards just based on the background? When you go back to T206, there are many collectors who only collect green backgrounds, red backgrounds. I know when I first started out on my T206 journey, I started only collecting red background cards. And so let's take a look right now at what a red background Project 70 would look like. And the best thing here is my list right now of 10 cards that qualify for the red background may not be your 10. You may think the Pujols' first card is a red background. You might look at other cards and go, that also should belong in the red background. You could also say, you know what? That Acuna by Sophia Chang does not deserve to be in the red background because there's blue at the very top. It's very subjective, and that's where you have really good discussions. But let's say you don't like colors. Let's say you don't want to do a green background, a blue background, a red background. Let's say you want to spice it up a little bit more. And so while that was just a 4-second clip for 15 different cards, if you didn't catch the running theme of all of those cards, it is simple. Every single one of them has an animal in the background of the card. And here again, when you talk about this list being subjective and having good discussion, do you or do you not include Crayola's very first card with the octopus around Roger Clemens? That is a card or a feature of every one of his cards. So does that qualify or does that not qualify? I did not put it on my list, but you can make the argument that it does qualify. So here again, this adds another very fun element to the set. When you see an artist release butterflies like Risk or a frog from Soulfly, you add it to your collection if you're an animal lover. But now maybe animals are not your thing. Maybe you don't like red, green, and blue. Maybe you don't like horizontal cards. Maybe you want something closer to the game of baseball and you want to collect this set in a very unique way. There is one thing on a baseball player that is really synonymous with a baseball card, and that is of course the hat they are wearing of the jersey and of the team they are representing. But I'll tell you right now, there are cards in Project 70 that players do not have a hat on. So when you think about collecting this set another way, maybe you only collect players without a hat. But there's also a catch here. There are 2 players without a hat that are holding a hat. So do those players qualify or do they not qualify? Let's take a look at both of those sets right now. So Derek Jeter and Cal Ripken, are those cards with a hat or without a hat? If you were collecting cards in this set of players without a hat, would they be on your list or off your list? Leave a comment below. I'm really curious your thoughts on if those are no hat cards or hat cards. But at the end of the day, this set has so much depth, way more than just player, team, year, and artist. And that is why I was relieved that I let the clock expire on those 2 artists. And it's nothing against the artists themselves. It just opens me up to collect different things at different times of this set. And the one running theme, whether you do a color background or an animal, maybe you do food, hat, no hat, you are seeing multiple artists at multiple times throughout this. There was not one running artist really overtaking a theme of the set. And so when you think about having fun, we still have over 800 cards to go. Maybe do some experimenting. If you feel bogged down, you can restart. You can sell what you have bought so far and you can start over because we have many months to go. And maybe We're going to get to card 500 and you're going to recalibrate. I can tell you right now, on my T206 set, I've started and stopped multiple times, and now I feel after nearly 2 years of collecting it that I have what I really enjoy, and that is a polar bear background subset goal. But for many years there, I didn't really have a focus. I was just buying them all and I kind of got lost. And so if you were lost in Project 70 right now, try something unique. Try collecting backgrounds, try collecting food or anything like this. But remember, this set has so much depth, just go and explore it. And now this doesn't mean that I'm just going to stop buying every single artist that I like in the set. There is going to be a couple that I'm going to continue to buy, and one of those is going to be Natural. And he releases his Doc Ellis this week, and he releases it for another reason, not for the reason the other artists have released his card. And it wasn't his words, because he dedicated the twilight years of his life to helping brothers that struggled with substance abuse. Yes, the no-no was crazy, but his story's much more than that and equally as interesting. So it's a true tribute to Doc Ellis. And also here, when you think about collecting Naturals cards, they are going to connect at the end of the day. I don't believe any of the 5 that are out right now connected. I'm still trying to find 2 clouds on the side they connect, but Natural set gives you an interesting chase because it is going to be a 20 card mosaic at the end of this. And now if chasing is your thing when it comes to buying Project 70 cards, Topps does give us a double chase card this week when it comes to Jeff Staple, who just finishes up his Subway Series with Joe Torre. So make that 3 Yankees, 2 Mets, but there is going to be another foil chase card of Joe Torre. So we do have, of course, a standard out of 70 parallel of him in a Yankees uniform, but there are going to be, out of 30, there are going to be Joe Torre in a Mets uniform. So it's going to be 3-3 for 30 people out there who get this card as a special bonus in their order. And so if the Mets are your jam in Project 70, you might as well, at the same time as you buy that Torre, buy Ron English's 5th card. We have Darryl Strawberry in a Mets uniform. And of course, this is now English's 5th card. He keeps his set cohesive. Just like Action Bronson was 71 Topps, Ron English here is using 1970 Topps for every single one of his cards at the moment. We will see how long this trend continues. I'm not going to sit here and defend this card. I'm a collector of Ron English. I like how different they are. I like how abstract they are. This is right down my alley, but I understand people out there who are like, this just isn't for me. But here it is, Ron English with Darryl Strawberry. And now speaking about teams here, when it comes to some of the most popular teams in Project 70, we do have, of course, the Dodgers. And right after we just saw one of the lowest printed cards in the set, that Don Sutton by Fucci, we have 2 more Dodgers get released. We have the Surgeon releasing their amazing Spider-Man / Mookie Betts card. And then we also have Ermsey releasing Cody Bellinger. Now taking these one by one, the Ermsey card, look, if you're a collector of Ermsey, this is what you have come to expect. There's nothing different here, and that's not a bad thing. Ermsey just sticks with what works, and I expect this card to sell better than the recent average because it is a Dodger and it is Cody Bellinger. Now, in saying that though, on this Mookie Betts, I'm not so sure if the comic book fan collector is going to maybe assimilate as well with this card. It's not really my forte, but I could see how people will like it. But it is going to be interesting to see if this card sells better or worse than the Bellinger. But my money right now is on Ermsey winning this Dodger contest. And so while that Cody Bellinger by Ermsey will do very well this week, a card that should give it a run for its money, it's going to be Distorted with her Big Papi and also her Little Big Papi, her double David Ortiz card. This is her 5th card, and she continues to gain more and more recognition for her work as every single card goes by. She was most recently here on a Blake Jameson stream. I need to go back and watch that. But of course, just like with Ermsey, we know what to expect from Distorted. This is just another great example of artwork, and it's finally great that we get David Ortiz in the set, a player that was really larger than life for a very long time when it came to the Red Sox, when it came to playoff baseball. I'm glad Distorted is the first artist to get David Ortiz in this set. So while that will make that David Ortiz very special as the year goes by, when it comes to a player that has had the most amount of cards in the set, we now have a player with 8, courtesy of Risk with his Ichiro. And we talked about maybe a month or so ago that Topps sent the artist a list of players from basically top to bottom, in my opinion, of collectible to maybe least collectible. It's very, very obvious right now when you think about the international market of Ichiro from Japan to America that he had to have been at the top of the list, and if not at the top, at least within the top 3. It is actually quite amazing in my opinion, and I'm speaking as a very, very biased Mariners fan here, that Ichiro has the most amount of cards in the set. Even when you think about Shohei Ohtani, you think about Mike Trout, you think about all of the legends of the game. So I am personally very, very happy here that Ichiro has this many cards. But I also understand the other side of the argument where people are like, really? Another Ichiro? This is becoming the Dodgers and this is becoming the Yankees of the player argument. And now while we're on the theme of Project 2020 players making a name for themselves in Project 70, we finally have now seen the very first Nolan Ryan, and this time it is by Sean Wotherspoon. When you think about different ways to collect this set, how could you collect this card in an interesting way? How could this card pair with Mookie Betts by Brittany Palmer? You could think about cards with flowers in them. So both of these cards take you to a time period in the 70s, really when you think about what Brittany Palmer talked about with her Mookie Betts card. But if you're a flower fan, if you like landscaping, this card would fit very, very nicely into a flower collection for your set. And so while Nolan Ryan made a mark on baseball as a youngster, also as an adult, when you think about the span of his 7 no-hitters, it is also never too late to leave your name on this game or your mark. When you think about Satchel Paige making his major league debut at 42, probably one of the best players of all time if he hadn't have been basically banned from baseball because of the color of his skin. It is just great to see players of that age finally getting their recognition, finally in 2020 and 2021 and into the future. So we're going to see FDOT release his Josh Gibson card very soon. So this is very touching for me in a way, and you know my affection for Jackie Robinson in Project 70 and Project 2020. But King Saladin does bring Satchel Paige to life again, and it's great to see this card in the set. And so while all of us before this set launched knew who Satchel Paige was, Josh Gibson, Jackie Robinson, even to an extent Doc Ellis, one player that maybe none of us knew, and I'm painting a very, very broad stroke here, is with Jerry Manuel. Jerry Manuel gets his second card in Project 70, and for a player that has only hit 3 home runs in his career, he almost has more Project 70 cards than home runs. But he is in the set for a couple of different reasons. Number one, of course, you have the Jerry Manuel Foundation, the impact that foundation has had on his community outside of baseball, but also do not forget the connection of his son to these artists. Of course, Don C released the very first one, but here it is, Gregory Siff releasing the second one. And if you don't know the connection, it is around his son, Jerry Lorenzen. And look, if I was an artist with an opportunity to honor a good friend's father who played the game, would I take that opportunity and create a card? Absolutely. So you cannot fault Don C, you cannot fault Gregory Siff, you cannot fault any upcoming artist who wants to celebrate Jerry Manuel's life, because he has had a heck of an impact off the field, and his son now is connected and really intertwined with a lot of these artists in Project 70. So keep the Jerry Manuel cards coming, because this truly is about family over everything else. And now speaking about family here, I do have to send out my congratulations to Blake Jameson for his print run total on that Jared Kelenic, taking what was a massive, massive risk here by putting a brand new rookie in the set, someone who just got called up, but 5,618 is just an impressive number for this rookie. So thank you, Blake, for putting Jared in the set. I don't think we're going to see him anymore from any other artist, but I appreciate the effort of this card. With that, have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you back on Tuesday night